What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and we're going to break down the Oklahoma Sooners, give you some very early thoughts on this team, and if they will be better or worse in 2024. A long ways to go as we go through the offseason, but again, these are early thoughts on this team, and we will start with the offensive side. So again, let's go back to last year. 10-3, finished third in the Big 12. Of course, moving to the SEC this year, 10-3 in the SEC probably still means you're a better team, even though it would be the same record. So it's not necessarily about the record here. We're just going to look at how good this team should be. Again, my initial thoughts here on this team. And we'll start on offense again. So Dillon Gabriel's gone. You got Jackson Arnold, who should step in there at quarterback. And I think there's a lot of people that just assume he's going to do great and be great. I'm not sold on Jackson Arnold. I haven't seen him a lot. I know he struggled with some interceptions there in the bowl game. And again, I'm not saying he's going to be bad. I'm not saying that he's not going to be great. I'm just not sold. I don't know. I haven't seen enough to make a judgment there. And that's really going to determine how good this team is offensively. That's a big part of it anyways. And so will he be ready? Will he be really good? Will he be average? Will he struggle? We just don't know. And that's again, a big unknown here. But I think I would be very surprised if he is better than Dillon Gabriel was last year as a first-year starter. Maybe he is, but I don't really see that happening. They also lost Walker and Major into the transfer portal at running back, but you've got Sawchuk and Barnes back there, and so I think those two guys should be able to. The run game was not always great last year for Oklahoma, but I think those guys are very capable. You look at the wide receivers, they bring almost everyone back there. Drake Stoops is going to be a big loss, obviously, but pretty good shape at wide receiver. I'm not really concerned there. Where I am concerned, and then at tight end, also losing Austin Stogner, who was one of their better receivers. That's a pretty big loss. But pass catchers, I think this team's going to be just fine. Where I'm concerned about Oklahoma is the offensive line. They lost so much on the offensive line, including all 5 starters. They lost, I think, 8 out of the 10 guys on the 2 deep. I mean, they do not have hardly anyone coming back on the offensive line that has played significantly on that offensive line. So that is a major concern. And I realize they went to the transfer portal and they added several players, some experienced players who should be able to step in and be pretty solid. But still, offensive line, when you have a bunch of new players, how do they all mesh together? It's hard to say how that they're going to look. And I think, I talked about the quarterback a second ago and how that was going to determine how good this offense is. I think it also is about the offensive line. I think, again, running backs, receivers should be fine, but I am concerned about the offensive line. They don't have a proven quarterback, and so you put all that together, I just don't think this team is going to be as good offensively. I think they're going to be worse on that side of the ball. I'm not saying they'll be bad, but they were pretty good last year, and so losing all of these offensive linemen, losing your starting quarterback, it's hard to say right now that this Oklahoma team is going to be better offensively. So let's go to the defensive side now. This is an area where they improved greatly last season, and you look at what they bring back here, it's a bit of a different story. They don't lose a whole lot on the defensive line. They lose some guys there in the middle that were really good. Isaiah Coe, Jacob Lacey, and if I get something wrong here, I apologize. Oklahoma's roster is not out, so I'm just going by the research that I did as far as who's coming back. But again, middle of the defensive line, yeah, they lost a lot there, but pass rushers look really strong with Trace Ford coming back, Ethan Downs coming back. So I think that is an area that should be just fine. Again, maybe a little bit of a step back on the defensive line with some of those interior guys, but still I think defensive line should be pretty strong. They were really deep, had a lot of players that played and contributed last season. So I think that'll be a pretty good spot for them. And then you look at the linebackers, they're in great shape at linebacker. They don't really lose anyone that played a lot last year. Danny Stutzman will be back, All-American type player. Also, Jaron Kanak will be back. McCullough will be back. I mean, they are really loaded at linebacker. That's going to be one of the strengths of this team. And then you look at the secondary, it's kind of the same story. They bring almost everyone back there. Reggie Pearson's gone. Key Lawrence, he transferred, but everyone else is coming back. You've got a great group of defensive backs. I mean, you look at Kendall Dolby, you look at Woody Washington, Gentry Williams, Robert Spears Jennings will be back. Peyton Bowen will be back. Billy Bowman, who could be an All-American next year. So you're talking about a lot of guys coming back in the secondary. Everyone pretty much coming back at linebacker. Yeah, maybe a bit of a step back on the defensive line, but maybe not. Again, they have a lot of depth there. So this defense should be really good. I think they'll be one of the better defenses in the SEC next year. And so that's going to be the strength. If they can kind of figure out some of these questions on offense, at the offensive line, they come in, they gel together. Jackson Arnold plays great. If they can be good or solid on offense with a defense that should be even better, that's going to get them in position to potentially make a run at the college football playoff. Now, the schedule's really tough. That could be something that holds them back. They have one of the tougher schedules for sure in the conference. But as far as how good this team is going to be, again, offense a little bit worse, defense I think better. And so I think you're going to see a similar team from Oklahoma as far as how good they are. The schedule, though, may make it tough for them to go 10-2 again. Like I said, it's brutal. But again, I think this Oklahoma team is going to be about the same as they were last year. Not really much better or worse. Do you guys agree or disagree? Give me your thoughts on the Sooners down in the comments below.